Anyway, thank you very much for giving us an opportunity to be part of this forum. And also, thanks for giving me an opportunity to come to ISB and Hyderabad once again. Whenever I'm here, I go to my school as well. So thank you very much for that opportunity. And as I said, it's post-lunch session. So we'll keep it as light as possible, as interesting as possible. And if you have any question in between, please hold on till I finish. I have only 6 pages, so 6 slides. I not take more than 15 minutes. So there are 2 parts to this presentation, rather 3 parts I would say. First about the global economy. As you would know, today's economies are very, very porous. Am I audible? Okay. So today's economies are very porous. And you have seen pre-recession and post-recession, and recession was a reminder to that. If there's a cold in Chinese economy, probably our economy will also sneeze. Some trouble started in US, that's called subprime, everybody would know. I'd not discuss that in detail. And as we have current account and capital account equation with US, like many other countries, that issue has spilled over to us and we are also impacted. Fortunately or unfortunately, the whole world is recovering a bit and the things are looking much better than what it used to be just 2 years back or probably 1 year back. But unfortunately, we missed the opportunity called 2012 and 2013. And today, we have just deferred that and you're talking about a growth which is around, sub 5%. That's unfortunate. But we'll talk about that in detail. So let's start with we will just highlight a couple of regions. We'll start with the big brother US. As I said, the recession started there and it spilled all over because we have some equation, whether it's current account and capital account, right? But fortunately, US is showing some green signs. If it's a non-farm payroll, there are 2 kinds of data I would like to look at that way. If the job market is improving, that's a real green shoots, I would say. If other data is improving, that may not be so good at this point of time. So we'll start with job market. The non-farm payroll, which is the non-farm new job creation, had increased to almost like 1,75,000. That is in February. That's a fantastic result, I would say. Their expectation was less than 150,000, which is 1.5 lakh new employment. That's good. So labor market is improving. That's a really, really good sign, and they are on good track. Industrial output, that production, it's at almost like 0.6%. It's much more than what they predicted. And Dow Jones and S&P, if you see almost like lifetime high, and US economy is doing very well. So they have the comfort now to withdraw the liquidity, whatever they injected to minimize the impact of recession. That's a very good sign, I would say. So US dollar and the US economy is doing very well in that sense. Now we'll discuss Europe and UK together because the nature is more or less same. But Europe is a conglomerate of 25, 26 economies that, their individual nature would be different, but they are together. They are almost at the bottom and things are going to improve from here. Again, the job market is doing reasonably well, manufacturing is doing well. They want to increase the inflation to show that spending is going up. They need to go a little higher from what they are showing as of now. So the job market is good. Production and the inflation data is reasonably healthy and they are going to grow from here onwards. So UK and Europe, they are also on track. UK is doing not so great for the time being, but here onwards, both the economies will do well. That's what you can see. One important point to highlight, like US, they are already increasing their interest rate and withdrawing the liquidity, whatever they injected before to reduce the impact of recession. But Europe and UK, for the time being, to give a boost, to continue that momentum in their economy, they want to inject liquidity further. And the interest rate will be at this low level only. There is no possibility of interest rate hike for the time being, but that can happen in US. So US doing very well. They have the appetite to increase the interest rate, withdraw the liquidity. UK more or less on the same track, but the interest will remain low for the time being. Now China, that's one interesting economy. Driven by the government expenditure and a lot of investment in infrastructure, they have been growing for, more than 10% for almost 2 decades. But they are honestly landing on the little hard surface now. And you have seen the default news for the solar panel manufacturer. They are not able to repay the bond, whatever they issued to the market. That's not a good sign, and this thing just started as of now. And if you are too dependent on your export, and if you want to push everybody by weakening your own currency, that may work for your favor for the time being, that may not work for long term. And the second thing for the infrastructure, if it is purely driven by government expenditure, that may not give a long-term return. So they are landing on a little hard surface, but of course they are doing better than us as of now, but they may not do so well. So on that economy, we are neutral to slightly bearish as of now. Japan, that's one interesting economy. I mean, people used to borrow, the overseas investors used to borrow in Japanese yen because the interest rate used to be very close to zero. But post-recession, that's not the only economy where the interest is very close to zero. There are a lot of other economies. But one interesting thing I would like to highlight about Japan and their Prime Minister, Mr. Abe, they want to continue to inject more liquidity in their system. That's called currency war. They want to weaken their own currency so that their export is getting a boost, and that's the major source of their foreign currency. So they will continue to participate in that currency war and keep their currency as weak as possible. They will continue to inject more liquidity. But interesting thing is that's one country, they want to increase their inflation desperately so that they can show that there is some expenditure is going on and consumers are doing well, and that driving a bit growth. So to categorize, US is doing very well, Europe and UK, it's broadly doing, it will be good from here onwards. China, they're landing on the hard surface, and Japan will continue to struggle for the time being. It's difficult to weaken your own currency and give a boost to their export pace. That's on the global economy. We'll quickly talk about India. You would know that there are fundamental and structural issues we have. That's one, the current account deficit. But there, I think we have done a fantastic job. Last year, it was around 4.8% of our GDP. And this year, it's projected to be 2%. There, we're doing well. And that's one of the reasons our currency is appreciating for the time being. And you've seen the data last week. Inflation, that's very interesting, and I would say that needs more attention than the way we typically review and renew it. Inflation, we a lot of times believe that it has a lot to do with liquidity, and we try to inject liquidity, try to suck out money from the market, but eventually it's not working, right? I'm a great believer of fundamentals. I'll give one example, so milk production. Milk production in India is growing at a rate which is much more than our population growth. So ideally the price should come down, right? But actually it's not coming down. So it's purely depend on demand and supply, although there's a huge supply, but the demand is also growing at the same time. If population is growing at 1.5% every year, and the milk production is growing at 7-8%, so ideally the price should come down. It's not coming down, right? So that means people are consuming more milk and milk-related products. So you have to match demand and supply. May not go by your purely banker's explanation that it's purely dependent on the liquidity.